Welcome to the new episode of Game Defined Season 2, Episode 5. It is the 1st of December. I can now sing Christmas carols without anyone shitting on me. But today, we are not celebrating the birth of Christ, but we are celebrating our guest who's joined us today.
Yes.
A fellow Maltese streamer with a beautiful bald head and a magnificent beard.
Magnificent chin, yeah.
Yes, no. You don't have a beard anymore, Dave. You've
They
betrayed
don't
our
know that
artwork. And his name is Engine 15 is his nickname. Edward is his name. Hello, Edward.
Hello,
And
Will.
How are you doing on this
I'm
beautiful
doing
1st of
fine.
December?
This fabulous rainy morning.
It's true, like considering
Dark,
just
cloudy.
started a new month.
Perfect day for gaming, yeah?
It's every day is a perfect day.
Perfect
for
day
gaming.
for gaming, yeah.
Every day is a day for Battlefield.
Yes.
Every day is a day for Battlefield.
Definitely.
That's correct. Yes.
So, today's podcast is mainly on Battlefield 5, as we've been saying. But obviously, before we head down into the abyss, why don't you introduce yourself, Ed?
So I'm a Twitch streamer, local to Malta. Actually, I've been streaming for about a year and a half now. Mainly Battlefield 1. Now moving on to Battlefield 5. I've played other games, but since Battlefield 5 was released, it's almost a month for me now. For the Origin.
It's already been
Premier
a month
Access.
since, because you had
Origin
the early
Access Premier November 9, so almost a month. But I've been playing Battlefield 5 exclusively. I've not touched any other game, I think. Actually, Forza Horizon, yes, once. But yeah,
Battlefield 1.
it's Battlefield. So I've been getting some extensive information and experience from the game. But I think we're getting into that a bit later.
Yeah, plus it's also mixed with your love for World War II, like weapons, equipment, story. You always show off
Very
your
much so.
spade.
My World War One shovel, yes.
Yes. So, to move on though, we're going to do gaming news first. We want to get those out of the way
Yes.
because there isn't that much to cover. So let's say, hey, go away. We want Battlefield. So in terms of gaming news, what has been happening recently? The world shitting on Fallout.
Because Fallout is shit, apparently.
Yeah, bugs here, left, right, and center. I mean, if you're going to look at game clips on YouTube, you're going to find people complaining a lot about their experience. Though, I mean, you do find that few who've had a really good time. It's with any online game. You play with friends, and you're left with good story.
Yeah.
Like a good narrative to talk about.
And like those friends, I believe there were like a group of 5 people who all got the nuclear launch codes.
Yes.
And they launched 3 nukes at one time and actually crashed the servers.
Yes, the 3 nukes at the same time. Like, And if you watch one of the reviews of Angry Joe, he always puts a reminder where Todd Howard is saying, like, you will never see a server. You've been disconnected. It's magnificent.
Yeah, but I think actually I don't want to jump into Battlefield. Just gonna mention it. It sort of what happened to Fallout is the opposite to what happened to Battlefield. Everyone was shitting on Battlefield before it came out, whilst everyone was loving Fallout before it came out.
It's true.
When Battlefield came out, everyone is loving it, and when Fallout came out, now everyone's shitting on it.
Depends.
It
depends.
Yeah, the
We still have
marketing.
people shitting on Battlefield because they.
They didn't
But-
try it out.
But since it's
Yes.
but since it's come out, I mean, people were all because
I've
of the
seen
marketing
people
of
who
it
have
and all
played
that.
it. I've seen people who have played it and are still shitting on it for some reason. I can't get why.
Hypocrites.
I don't understand. I don't understand at all.
There are some comments saying that it is easier. I don't know. Someone
Easier
told me it feels
than
like
what?
COD. Like, why are you saying
What?
that this feels like
How?
COD? It
That's
doesn't.
absolutely wrong.
It's bull.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But anyway, continue.
Next.
Fallout.
Next note, Nintendo Creators Program. Finally closing down which is extremely good news for content creators out there. Because basically, if you were making videos about, let's say you had a review about Zelda, Odyssey, stuff like that, and that is actually your full-time content, making Nintendo-based videos, then Nintendo wanted 40% of your advertising revenue, which sucks in a way. And if you weren't subscribed to this program, they had every right to copyright block your video.
Ooh.
Mainly Nintendo Japan is the issue, not America.
Yeah, I assumed that.
What else? We had Red Dead Online being released, but I
Nothing
haven't
good
been
there,
keen on
apparently,
trying
either.
it out. Nah, not even.
But I haven't heard anything nice about it.
Yeah,
I haven't
I
played
heard
it
it's a
either.
massive sandbox, slow, which was one of our previous complaints about the game in general.
Yeah.
And it's PvP. And you can't set, from what I read, you can't set yourself on passive, unlike in GTA.
No,
In GTA, you could say, like, please don't kill me.
exactly.
But
And you
forget
can't
it in
do
this.
Red Dead. It's like a free-for-all. You can get
Yeah.
shot. Yeah.
You gonna die.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen
It is the
a
Wild
friend
West.
of mine on Facebook. In fact, he's just riding to one destination. All of a sudden, these guys gang up on him. They lasso him with a rope. They tie him up and just decide to drown him. They try to drown him somewhere, but I think what had happened then, as soon as he touched the water, he was set free. Like,
Okay.
I don't know.
Which-
Then he
Soluble
was
rope?
sudden he could
They
just shoot
shouldn't
the guy
have
down.
tied him up in soluble rope.
Yeah. Please do not come in contact with water. What's next? Leisure Suit Larry. One of the creators from the original Sierra company is selling on eBay the source code of the very kinky adventure game of the 90s, even 80s, I think. Or Leisure Suit Larry. You can find, like, Leisure Suit Larry 2's bid price was over $5,000 already, so people will want this. I mean, if I had the money, I would. To have the source code of this bloody game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I shouldn't have played it when I was quite a young boy. And password protection was brilliant. You had to know... Huh?
Now I know why.
Wow.
You're
I had
playing-
been
Why
tainted.
William is William, yeah.
Yes.
Thanks. I shouldn't have brought this up then. I love the password protection of this game. They would be questions that technically only 18-year-olds of that era should know.
Which nowadays a 5-year-old would know most probably.
But I mean, now you can just search for
Yeah.
them.
Blame Fortnite, yeah.
In fact, I'm curious if I had to search password protection. There's even a walkthrough.
How many games are there of Leisure Suit Larry? Is there
There's-
just one?
There's quite a lot actually.
There's quite a lot, eh?
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I've never played them.
The
just
problem is
searching
that
it now.
there was that spectrum of they were really good, then the quality just dropped
Okay.
Mm.
when they went to that sort of Windows GUI era.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
I love this. Like, the biggest corporate bankruptcy in US history involved Enron. No lying, please. How old are you? Of course. So what else? Recently, an article up on Variety was saying Blizzard are promising to show more Diablo stuff in 2019. After the massive disappointment of Immortal. I mean, who knows? Maybe in 2021 we're all playing Diablo Immortal on the mobile. We
Will
were
they
wrong.
show you stuff only if you have a phone?
You need a phone to watch the stream.
Okay.
It's like they're going to adopt the Apple mentality. You need an Apple device to watch their live stream.
Okay.
What's coming up nice is in December there's going to be the Game Awards show.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I'm
What-
going to be abroad at that time.
When's
Could have
that?
streamed it
What dates
ourselves.
are those?
Hmm?
What dates are those?
The dates, it's 6th for sure. But I think for Europeans,
It's
it's
next Friday.
somewhere on the 7th then,
So it's
based on
Saturday.
time difference.
Yeah.
And it's quite a big deal, not just to see the awards being passed out, but there's going to be some game announcements or more news about stuff, such as,
Oh,
yeah, there's
okay.
going to be stuff like Anthem.
Yes.
I do have a bit more confidence in EA after Battlefield. So,
For once.
that's true. And that's quite a big deal. I mean, the
It
first
is,
time
it is.
I opened the game, for example, I tried to check for microtransactions, like did they hold their promise? And there isn't.
To be
There's
fair,
there's
I think-
nothing. Good.
I think it's more DICE than EA.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
I think it's DICE actually putting their foot down.
Yep.
And with Anthem, there might also be the possibility of more Dragon Age. So this might be a spotlight for BioWare.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there's going to be another announcement. Anyone who's into role-playing games, especially from the guys of Pillars of Eternity, Obsidian, they should be announcing a new title during the Game Awards show. People have already picked up that the game should be called Outer Worlds due to a trademark already registered.
Uh-huh.
And one of the devs from the team have stated there's going to be a massive inspiration from the original Fallout, meaning Fallout 1 and 2, and an old school steampunk RPG called Arcanum. So that's, for me, who loves RPGs, I would definitely be looking forward to this. And Obsidian are one of the teams that Microsoft recently acquired for their exclusivity game studios. Which
Which
yeah,
would be
that-
interesting, I guess, in
Yes.
the future.
Microsoft did a very good move to acquire these guys, in my opinion.
They
And I was
needed to.
surprised. Yes. We both know how much they've been suffering, and Sony's like, why should we even host a show
Yeah.
anymore?
There's no point. But
They're skipping out for
but
next year's E3.
Microsoft are coming back. I
Yeah,
think from this year's E3, they've shown they can if they want to. They for some reason they didn't want to before this year, but this year
I think they're feeling pressure now. Like,
could be.
it's more than usual. I think
I mean, you released the most powerful console available, but
Does
there's
jack
no
shit.
reason for someone to buy it.
Exactly, yeah.
Nobody, you know.
And with Sony dropping out of E3 next year, it could be more
I
room
really
for
do want that they
Microsoft, you
get
know,
better.
to showcase more of their
Mhm.
stuff.
I mean, for example, if you had to play Red Dead Redemption, the current console to really play it at its full detail is on the Xbox One X. Native 4K.
How
which
many
is-
people are playing it on the Xbox One X?
No.
Not a lot, probably.
Yeah.
At least, hopefully, it's still a two-digit number for percentage. But anyway. Anyway, that's it from my end for news. So, technically, we could get to the juicy game.
Battlefield.
Well, something that we've been playing quite a lot these past 2
Yep.
weeks.
Definitely.
I've been playing quite a good number of times also with Engine. David here.
That's correct. Yes.
Mhm.
I've been playing it with a few
David has been
friends
playing
on
the PlayStation
PS4,
variant of
yeah.
the game.
Okay, that's something I can't really mention because I've tried playing Battlefield 1 on PS4 and I
You
did
hated
really,
Or-
really badly. It seemed very slow compared to PC. It seemed more people were hiding instead of running out. That's what it seemed like to me.
You have to balance the game differently also for console.
really
Yeah,
depends
yeah.
according to the role. I mean, I've been in quite a few. Again, I don't have any experience playing Battlefield in PC, so I'm like you, but on the other end, PlayStation wise, to be honest, I've always played Battlefield on PlayStation, so I don't know if it's faster or slower. I would imagine it being much faster on PC.
It
Granted,
is. It is.
but the way you play it, at least the way I play it, wouldn't be any different to the way I would play it on PC. You always get, I mean, those campers, like you always get the snipers at the back of the
Of
battlefield,
course,
whatever.
yes.
And it's the job of the recon.
And there is an element to it, even in the multiplayer, of auto aim, you do get, especially
There is auto aim. Okay.
I did encounter this a few times when I'm not touching anything and it actually just moves slightly when a person is moving, so it helps you there. But no, I've had a good experience. What I've noticed is the game is 100 times much more fun when you're playing with someone rather than you're just going in on your own. When you've got a squad, or at least just playing with someone else and you're going in together and you're playing it together and you're coordinating your efforts, it's 100 times much more fun.
I'll get into 2 points about that. The first one is about the controls. Off Twitch, you get the chance to meet some great people, and a guy I've met who is actually a moderator of my channel now. He's called Nick the Grizzly. I'm plugging him here. You're welcome, Nick. He's he's American, one of the top PS4 BF1 players. Very high ranked, has the numbers to show. And of course he's a controller player. What he will say is that if you want to improve your controller gameplay, what you need to do is edit the sensitivity of your sticks. That you don't leave it at default. He edits those. And this is a guy who exclusively played on PS4, hopped in with me on PC with a blank game of Battlefield 1 right as Battlefield 1 was about to end. Maybe I think July, August. And he managed to almost top the charts in an operation with his keyboard and mouse. Wow. Then he plugged the controller in and mapped it to the PC game, and he managed to stay at the same place. So that was testament to, if you're good enough and know the game enough, regardless if you're using a controller or a keyboard or mouse, it doesn't matter. You're good at it. So that was an answer I needed to get, because I didn't see anybody at that level try doing that, and it was impressive. Now the team play, this is something Battlefield 5 was marketed to do, and I think if you don't go in as a team, and more necessarily not in as good squads, you will not win a grand operation, which to me is the best mode.
Yeah, Conquest, you can forget it
maybe, but grand operation, if you don't have a good team that can collaborate and coordinate, you're losing your match. There's no way.
Now, in fact, also I had this last night. I was playing in domination mode, which is the infantry only sort of maps, and I just went in with random people. I tried, when you're squad leader, you have to assign the objectives, telling people, hey, go A, go B, blah blah. But no one really doing jack shit.
Domination
There's no cooperation.
is actually very intense.
It is tough. It's closed, and you don't have that comfort of hiding in locations. Not at all.
Did you do domination on Twisted Steel?
Remind me, because I'm not good with names.
The one with the bridge, 216.
The French
it's all,
with lots of vegetation.
All the fields, and then you have the bridge in the middle,
green vegetation area.
It's so intense.
It is. I found even more intense. You'd know the name, the Desert Ruin one.
Yeah, the one with the hunger in the middle.
Where C is sort of a ruin.
Campaign.
Yeah, I think it's the African one.
You mean the one we do on Conquest? Yes. The big one, Tobruk.
Yes, it could be that.
Should be Tobruk.
If I had to search.
You mean where in Conquest we have F, E, and G?
Yes.
I think yes. You get that part in domination. I didn't play domination enough.
So
you get that. I think that's that would be intense. Lots of hiding spaces.
There are a lot of hiding spaces, but you don't have that comfort just the same to stay somewhere as recon, for example. And I play a lot of recon, and like most of the times, just either I got knifed more than I did when I played Grand Operations with you, for example.
Yes, it's tighter. What I would suggest actually to people who are listening and who really have difficulty with their spatial awareness, there's a new mode in the sound options where you usually have headphones and you just get the headphones options. Okay. There's a 3D headphones or 3D stereo option that DICE have implemented. Yep. Use that because it enhances it so much.
A lot. I've tried that. I've tried it on the PS4. I've just jacked in the headphones to the TV. No, to the TV.
Okay.
and chose that 3D headphones mode. It is much crisper. It helps a lot in
I should
multiplayer.
do that.
It's amazing how much it helps.
It's great, yes. So the little things, but I don't know why they don't, make this more available to people to know. So you have to, have to browse the options to find the options and then realize, oh, there's a different option.
Yeah, like they don't provide this option, for example, when you're loading the game for the first time. They
No.
could suggest, and like, hey, we have this feature. It might help.
Exactly.
I think
Do you
they
use
need to do that
headphones?
before you get into the prologue itself.
Because when you
Because
launch the
whilst
game for
you're
the first time,
setting
you
up
have
the
the prologue
stream,
of, this is
yeah.
war.
Yes, when the brightness settings, yes.
Exactly. Just exactly
Yes.
after it.
Because they do a good job with the prologue of explaining the game to you. It's the Battlefield 1 prologue was great in its own merit because the Battlefield 1 prologue wasn't about learning what the game is,
No, it wasn't.
but it was
just
about explaining what World War One is.
Exactly.
Which
I think it was
many
more of a
people-
showcase of the engine.
It was, but it gives you the way you always died and got the message that this person died in this year and he was born whatever and he's like 20 years old and he died in the war.
Yeah.
There was such a strong message because World War One is most of the time overshadowed by World War Two, but
It is.
it's an important event. So it showed that even World War One was a hard time. That they couldn't do that with World War Two because everyone knows a lot about World War Two. Anyone can mention World War Two and you know something about it.
Yeah.
So they used the prologue to say, hey, we have these vehicles, we have these maps, you can use these weapons, and you can fly a plane right out of the prologue, you can drive a tank right out of the prologue, you can use a sniper right out of that was,
The sniper
I
moment,
think
yeah.
they did a good job. The sniper moment was great with the planes, flying overhead and crashing. And the
There's
way
always
they
that smooth
transitioned,
transition.
the transitioning is just beautiful. This is something DICE does every time. They can do amazing, a flowing experience when it comes to campaign. Now, admittedly, I've not played single player yet, and it usually takes me some time to get into it.
Yeah, I
And
haven't done that myself either.
People are saying it's crap, but I think this is because they always say, oh, because you play, you stealth.
You're playing
in
Battlefield,
mostly, but it's Battlefield. It doesn't have to be fast paced. If you're alone in an empty field, you need to take it slow. You need to use stealth. You need, there were features in the Battlefield. Have you played the Battlefield 1 campaign?
Yeah.
I think you
There
did
were-
the most.
Yeah, I did. I definitely did.
Features in the single player which you didn't get in
And-
multiplayer.
yes, exactly.
Like the throwing the bullets
Yep.
to
Yep.
catch the attention. Of course, that
Oh,
wouldn't
okay.
That
run
wouldn't
on
really work in
multiplayer.
multiplayer, but yeah, I get your point. Yeah, I get
But
what
you
you're
know,
saying.
single player is a different animal. You need to treat it as it is. People saying,
Yes.
"Oh, because it's not fast paced enough." It's not meant to be fast paced enough.
Fast-paced.
If you want
Exactly,
it to be
the
fast paced,
game-
you go into multiplayer.
Call of Duty.
Or
I
you go
mean,
to
it's
Call of
war.
Duty.
You're in a massive open space where you're meant to
Exactly.
take your time and assess your situation
Exactly.
before you take action.
And people don't get that. I think that a lot of people are getting caught up with what has to be factual, and then they say, "Oh, because the game is not true to World War II," and then they want the single player campaign to be chaos, which is, not factual anyway.
Exactly.
So
Yes.
why all
100%.
these,
I mean, apart from the factual, I mean, we can go into the customization part of the game where, for example, you've got the different classes. Fine, you've got the assault, you've got the medic, the support, recon. I feel I left one out.
Assault, recon,
Assault,
support.
medic, support, recon. You've got 4.
Yeah. Somehow I thought I had 5 in my head, but
No.
anyway. And as you're customizing these guys, so you can choose the primary weapon, your secondary weapon, and correct me if I'm wrong, that whatever you choose as a primary weapon is the same for both as your German side and your allied side.
It
But
is not
when
actually.
No?
but when you customize, you need to customize the German and the allied.
Okay. In terms of weapon.
But
That really pissed me
in
off the
terms
first
of
time I was playing.
everything, the whole class.
Yeah, I think they are the same weapons.
Well, they're the same weapons, but it's
Yes.
not the same loadout.
Exactly.
Okay. So
Not
the
same
loadout is
That's
unique
it,
per
exactly.
side.
But
But
it's coming in December 4th. So that's one of the patch notes that's
Okay.
coming next week. And there's synchronizing loadouts across factions. So Actually, it's not coming. My bad. It's not coming next week, but they know about it. They're working on it,
All right.
and
Now that I'm looking forward to actually.
there's something else to add to that. It's not just the synchronizing between factions that they need to add, and this is one of my main complaints. In Battlefield 1, you had 3 presets for every class, which I don't think many people used.
You could save your
Right.
loadout.
And you could save your loadout, and you just name it whatever you want, and you can say, I had one like for if I was a close range sniper and if I was a long range sniper.
Yes.
Instead of just changing the whole gun and
makes sense.
setup,
Yes.
you just changed it. They removed that for some reason.
Yeah.
I figured you get 2 presets. So if you're a Pathfinder or Recon when you're a Scout or Scout or Pathfinder,
Yeah,
whatever
but
they
it's
are,
more like
each one has its own
subclasses.
loadout. But yeah, but they retain their own loadout.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
if you switch your class spec, it changes your loadout as well. But I think they need to improve on that because presets in Battlefield 1 not really useful. Battlefield 5 with all the customization options, very useful. So
Yeah,
why
necessary, actually.
remove it? Just bring it back.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. To be honest, the biggest disappointment that I have, and I've checked this, I've checked through all the profiles that there are, and even through the unlocked weapons, you don't have, which to me is the iconic World War II weapon. There isn't the M1 Garand in it as a weapon
this
model.
can be tricky with Battlefield.
Why?
Because every time you get this time Tides of War, you get a weapon release. You get multiple weapon releases.
Okay.
So just because the M1 Garand isn't there now, doesn't mean
it
it.
won't
Doesn't
be
mean
there
it won't be
later.
there.
But the next
Okay.
DLC, well, it's not DLC now. The next Tides of War or the one after that.
Okay.
Until the end of Battlefield 1, we kept getting weapons. So through the 5 Tides of War, you get different sets of weapons. Considering right now the only 2 factions available are the British and the Germans,
Yeah.
the M1 Garand not being there isn't really,
Because it's an American weapon.
It's
right?
American.
because it's an American weapon. So I mean, there are American weapons, but
Exact-
I think that would they like having highlights.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you're gonna bring the American faction, and then you get, the M1 Garand and other weapons.
Yep. Now, I mean, they can't just do everything in one go. One, it's a matter of time for them. They had to cater to, like, what was the gap between Battlefield 5 and 1, for example?
It's usually always 2 or so
year.
years.
A year or 2.
Yeah.
It's two.
Two.
It's usually 2 years. Yes.
Luckily, they
Because
didn't have to
last year
switch
there was-
engines, for example, in terms. It's the same engine as BF1.
Mhm.
They're
Which is an amazing engine. For some reason, it keeps giving.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I mean, visually it's too stunning, my opinion. The detail of the terrain is crisp AF. And
And it's optimized
yes, it is.
for what it is. It's impressive.
I mean, we get to enjoy ultra quality on something like, I mean, I play with a 1080. I think you're the same, right, Ed?
1080 Ti.
1080 Ti, so even better. So you get an
I'm
even
on-
smoother
I'm on
experience.
1440p res.
Even so,
So
you
it's
get
the
to
higher
enjoy
res,
this
yes.
engine even more
I get
because
to enjoy it more. Yes.
Yeah.
I played this on 1080. 1080 on a 1080. Yeah. Bad pun inserted here. And I mean, what do you think, Dave, about BF5 on PS4, for example, in terms of quality? And even considering it's an aging system now.
In terms of visual, it's beautiful. Keeping in mind, again, I'm playing it on the PS4, not the PS4 Pro. Even the small details, for example, I forgot the name, but there's that map where you're in the mountains in the snow, multiplayer map, and you can actually look in the distance and see like a small battle going on in the water between the ships. And it's beautiful. I mean, you don't get to look out at the distance much when you're playing multiplayer because you're always sort of trying not to get killed.
That is so beautiful.
But
Yes.
But I noticed that yesterday when I was playing that map and I was a sniper, which is something I was going to mention when you were mentioning the profiles. Because, for example, playing as a sniper in that map and playing as a sniper in Twisted Metal, it's completely
It's really
different.
Yes.
The mountain range snow one has maybe a couple of long ranges where the rest is quite close, because you've got those passages between the mountains
Exactly. Yes.
where a lot of players tend to bottleneck, and a big battle ends up there. Which, being a sniper, close range sniper, there would be ideal. But yeah, the snow, to me, the snow map is very nice, but my favorite is still Twisted Metal.
I have
It's much more World War II-ish to me. You know, I mean, when I think of World War II, I think of France, Holland. You know, battles being fought on fields, on green fields. So to me, that's more iconic battlefield, World War II. So that's why I like it the most. But in general, it's beautiful. Even that map with the African campaign, which has the hangar in the middle, the big airplane hangar, or hangar. That, like, for example, that is the ideal sniper map for me, because it's quite clear throughout. You have long distances, so if you're playing as a sniper with the 10 times zoom, it's perfect. Yeah, so I mean, they're all beautiful, but I've always been a big fan of Battlefield since I played Battlefield Vietnam, and I've always loved it. I've always preferred it over Call of Duty. I did start playing Call of Duty first, Call of Duty 2. Will you remember? But
Yeah,
Battlefield,
I guess that's all
it was a different era too.
it's
I mean,
much nicer. It's,
before at that time you could have the debate of which World War game you'd prefer playing. Call of Duty 1 and 2 was focused on World War 2.
Yeah.
Then
But you
BF
had Medal of
1942
Honor at
came
the time
out.
as well.
exactly, Medal of Honor.
You had Medal of Honor
that
at the
time.
time.
That's true. Initially it was more like
It was
arcadey.
Medal of Honor was very.
Yes.
It wasn't, and even the last game they issued was nice. It was a bit,
Airborne.
yeah. It was quite
Or
nice.
I think there was something.
Airborne,
No,
Airborne
then there was the
Airborne was the old one.
yes. Then there was the remake. Like
The modern ones.
Yeah, they had the Medal of Honor, the modern Medal of
Just
Honor.
Medal of
games.
Honor it was called.
Yes, just Medal of Honor, and then there was one after that. That was. It's the same engine as Battlefield anyway, so
Yeah.
you know.
Ah, yeah, because it's EA.
I mean,
It was
yeah, yeah.
EA's take
It's
of
EA, it's
Call of
EA.
Duty.
Yeah, that's one with the
It's the
tier
first
one,
one.
with the tier one guys with the beard.
Yes,
fighting in
yes,
Afghanistan.
yes.
That's it. Yeah,
It
that
sort
was
of-
lovely.
I think
That had a very
between
nice story.
BF3 and 4, I think, somewhere
Yeah.
in the
It
middle.
looks like a taller U engine.
Yes, and more American.
No, but the argument was more different in the past. Whereas now, I mean, we still bring up Call of Duty as a comparison, but they're two totally different
I
styles.
think what Battlefield does well, and I don't see how people keep saying this. I can't understand some comments I'm reading and I'm hearing about it.
Right.
People keep saying that Battlefield is not immersive for some reason. I can't understand, because Battlefield 3 was immersive, very immersive. Battlefield 4 immersive. Battlefield 1 maybe not so much. And we had. I'm not mentioning Hardline between that because I
No,
didn't even.
no.
I didn't even
bother
play
with
that.
I didn't play it.
That
I didn't
doesn't
buy it,
exist in my
anything,
opinion.
nothing. No, I did. So I skipped that. Battlefield 1 was very different than 4. So the jump between 4 and 1 was a bit strange because 1 felt a bit more arcadey.
BF4 is more heroic as your terms of what you were
Yes.
capable of as a person.
Yes, yes. But Battlefield 1, I mean, and credit to DICE because having a Battlefield, a World War One game, and setting it up for multiplayer where it has to be a bit fast paced isn't easy. Because
No.
it was a slow war. It was fought in trenches.
Trenches. It was a trench
And-
more than anything. Yeah.
If people keep saying World War Two, Battlefield 5 is not factual to World War Two, Battlefield 1 is definitely not factual to
factual.
World War One.
Of course.
Because if it was, half the guns in the game you wouldn't be able to use.
No.
Yeah.
For
Not at
instance,
all.
one of the Hellregal 1915, a gun many people use, the level 10 unlock on assault. That gun, I believe, only a couple existed in prototyping. They never got approved. The Burton, the double cartridge gun, the one with the V cartridges on top with the incendiary rounds, only one of those was ever made, and it still exists. So you definitely wouldn't have seen that. And it wasn't meant
Okay,
to be
well.
carried because it was meant as an anti-aircraft plane on an aircraft. It was only meant as a gun
Yeah.
to be mounted on a plane, so you could
Yeah.
shoot another plane, and then if you crashed, you can remove it and maybe carry it around. But it
Yeah.
wasn't a gun you would actively run with.
Exactly.
But you could do
Rambo
that in
style.
the game.
But well, in the game, yes. And
Yeah.
the other half guns, which were issued in World War One and before that, probably would have broken down within you giving, firing a few rounds.
Mm-hmm.
Tanks wouldn't have worked. Planes wouldn't have flown as well as they would have. And boats,
tanks-
I don't know, but
And
Tanks were
tanks
new
is a
to war.
totally different
I
story.
mean,
also.
everything was
World
new.
War
Everything
One.
was new.
They actually made tanks so they can traverse the
Yes.
trenches. It
Yes.
didn't have any
Mechanized-
guns in the
mechanized
beginning. It was just
warfare,
a big
yeah.
hunk of steel with tractors on it.
In fact, they weren't
Exactly.
they weren't agile at all. They were technically really slow. so
Very,
very-
very
Of
slow.
course.
Infantry was faster than tanks.
exactly. But
And
how
they
you
were
play
meant
them
to
in
just-
BF1.
Yes, very different. They were just meant to be in front of the infantry. So the first infantry going in are in the tanks. And,
Yeah.
you can shoot as much as you like at the armor.
You're just tickling it.
So yes. And I think going to that, there were a lot of changes. But then there were a lot of people who hopped into Battlefield through Battlefield 1. I've been seeing a lot of comments. My first Battlefield game was Battlefield 1. So they're not accustomed to what 3 and 4 used to be. Whereas,
Yes.
4, we had helicopters. Very different. Of course, by World War II, we didn't even have helicopters anywhere. So we
Nope.
can't have those. But people who came from 3 and 4 have a better idea of what 5 would be. The same people playing 1, who are used to this sort of easier mode of game, because it's in BF1, if you had 2 people that could carry a team, you could probably win. If you have a good tank driver or a pilot, you could, probably, if he wasn't a bomber, you could do really well.
Like the gifs of a flamethrower guy on a horse.
Well, if you're a flametrooper, it was. I think Battlefield 1 was easier compared
It
to
was.
5.
I think those special
So now-
classes made a difference.
Yes. The people coming into Battlefield 5 from 1, firstly, I don't understand the comments of them saying it's just like an add-on to Battlefield 1, which makes absolutely no sense at all, because they're 2 completely different games. They've nothing to do with each other. And I think, and this happened to me when I went into the open beta. The issue was in Battlefield 1, you were allowed to be an aggressive player. I am an aggressive player. Even as recon, I am very aggressive. I'll be up
Yes,
front
you have to.
as a sniper, and I'll shoot. If I want to advance in operations, I need to be aggressive. So
Yeah.
I ran around as a scout without sights, just the iron sights on my rifles, just so I could be, up front and shooting. I tried that in Battlefield 5. Absolutely doesn't work. There's no way. If you're a sniper on the front line, you're dead. That's how it works. And my KD was negative throughout most of the open beta, and I was really disappointed in myself because how can I be doing
I suck.
decently on Battlefield 1 and now all of a sudden 5 is out and I suck like bad, But then I realized it's more about the tactic and how the player gets used to the environment he's in. What's good for me as an environment maybe is not good for you guys. So maybe if you're in Twisted Steel, because everyone loves that map, maybe you feel compelled to be a sniper. For me,
Yeah,
because there's lots of vegetation.
it's an
you can
open
hide.
area,
There's
and
an
maybe
open
as a
area.
sniper, you feel you're collaborating more by spotting
Exactly.
people.
Yeah, exactly. But to me, it's different because I'm usually either playing medic or support. I want to be up front in that map. So it sort of gives availability to you as an individual to be able to play the way you want to play that scenario. Because we're not all snipers in that map. We're not all assault in that map.
No, you have to find your forte for whatever map.
exactly.
Yep.
You get to
And-
customize your own weapons, how you want them. Now,
Yeah, and you
balancing-
might have the mentality, some might have the mentality of just rushing in. If they're just coming in, as you said, from the BF3, BF4 days as infantry, you had the confidence to just rush in. You try assault, or if you want a slightly more reliable gun, the support. because they have
Mm-hmm.
like the first gun that
Yes.
you get with support is really good in my opinion.
The K7,
Yeah, and the one.
it's getting nerfed.
No.
It's getting more horizontal recoil.
Godverdom.
Godverdom, exactly. It's getting more. It's getting less reload speed, so you reload 0.2 seconds faster on it. But it's getting nerfed as a gun. DICE do a good job at gun balancing mostly. There are a lot of weapon changes coming in next week, and most guns will have increased range where their maximum damage applies. So most of the guns had 25 meters, excluding snipers. This is not snipers. This is most
For the
rifles
MGs.
and SMGs. It was 25 meters. Now it's up to 30.
Nice.
Some damage was increased for assault guns. For some reason, they increased the damage for the STG 44. I don't know.
Now that
what
already
that's about,
considered as a
because
good gun.
It's a really good gun.
Okay.
And yeah, there were some changes to that increased muzzle velocity for some guns as well. So but we'll see how that plays out, because I think what they want to do and their ideal scenario is that there's no meta. It sounds weird because usually people say, "Oh, you want to play support? Unlock the MG42." That's that. But DICE don't want that, because the MG42 may not be a good gun for you. It may not be a good gun for me.
No, you have to
And
find what you're comfortable with. Like, what
That's
was
what
the name of
metas do.
this?
They constrain you.
And I don't know if this affects you guys as too, but for me, what really affects me, what gun I choose, it's the mood I'm in on the day. For example, yesterday, I usually play sniper. I love playing sniper. I love stealthing. I love staying towards the back and then just sniping people up. But yesterday I just wanted to rush in. I just wanted to, just go for it, just play. And sniper, I started nothing. I couldn't even hit someone standing still. But then I started using the assault. That very first weapon they get on the assault. I can't remember the name again.
Yes.
It's amazing. At least on the mood I was yesterday, I started getting a very good KD ratio yesterday. It's me, at least. I'm not sure again if you guys feel the same. Engine, you were mentioning like choosing the best profile you prefer to use on which map. Me, as I said, I forgot the name again. The desert campaign, the one with the airplane hangar in the middle. That I usually play sniper. Yesterday I was assaulting it. I was in front, putting down people and taking out tanks. It's at least that's how my mood affects me.
It does. Yes, I agree on that. And I think it's very important for people to try every class, every weapon, and every vehicle at least once.
Yeah.
Because not only maybe you'll find out you like a different class. My main class in Battlefield 1 was support. Now, not a lot of people like support in Battlefield 1 for some reason, but I really enjoyed myself.
But you understood
in Battlefield 5 is
also.
different.
You understood
But you
the
have
scope
to
of
understand the
support.
other classes. Yeah, you have to understand the role. That's the most important part. First, you understand your role. But if you can understand the rest of the roles and the vehicles, then you have better understanding of what the game is as a whole. So if you play support for in all the maps, then you can say, okay, as a support, I'm doing this, this, and this. So if I'm countering myself as a support, as a recon, as an assault, as whatever, how do I counter myself? So then you get into the mindset of, okay, I'm faced with this situation. I need to attack this point, and there are this machine gun mounted over there, this anti-aircraft gun. How do I handle this if I was on the other side? Now, if you've never been in an anti-aircraft gun, you don't know what that's like. If you've never been in a bomber, you don't know what that's like. If you've never been in a fighter, in a tank, you don't know what that's like. So how do you tackle something you don't know about?
It's true. No, you have to try it out yourself, or else have
at least once.
close experience of it. But otherwise, you have to try it out for yourself.
Yes,
Exactly.
And
For example, I found myself to be horrendous when flying a plane in Battlefield 5.
yeah, that is experience.
Oof.
apparently I do quite well.
Yeah, I was watching the last video you put up yesterday, and you were doing quite well. in the plane.
118 on 12, I think,
Yeah.
was the KD.
Yeah.
That's also due to planes which need to be balanced, I think,
Yeah.
as well.
The when I was playing
Uh,
with you last time on the plane, for example, I did have my issue of trying to hit planes like when they were tailing
from
us, for
yes,
example.
yes.
And I thought it was an issue of angle, I'm not sure. But it did feel awkward to me. If they're exactly aligned behind you, it felt like forget it. You're not gonna hit him. And I was switching constantly between the lower gun and the
And
upper
the
gun.
top one, yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't that easy. Now it could be that they were like that, like it was
That's how they were.
exactly. So it was tough for me. Now I don't know if it's something like in terms of it being a game, if that should be balanced or not. Because again, this is the argument of accuracy versus
Yes.
gameplay.
I think that gun has other problems except for the turrets.
Because I did manage, like last time when I was playing with you, I saw planes catching fire, like, okay. And then they just escape, fine. But it's hard to keep like a good pressure on them when you're on the support of the planes. Because
I
otherwise,
think
then most of the work is you.
I think the back gunners. I never actually myself trying a back gunner because I've been in every seat of every plane, just so I know what that's like for the other person. I never managed to destroy a plane from a back gun so far in Battlefield 5.
Yeah,
And
it's really tough.
I think it's mostly there for deterring the enemy plane. So the plane's coming to you and he sees fire. He's like, okay, this guy is either back gunning because you can swap seats from the pilot and go into one of the seats and the plane will still fly,
Yeah.
although it will be, slow and glide downwards. Or if he sees the plane turning and shooting at him, this guy has a back gunner. The reason I got all those kills when we were playing the other day was I had both you and Dart as my gunners. So if you see a bomber flying, you're trying to attack him with a fighter, you don't have enough confidence to attack that bomber, and he has two back gunners.
Yeah, you can
Why
forget,
would you
like,
approach? You're not going to
Yeah.
approach that plane. So it deters them. And that's a plane they want to kill. The planes are unbalanced between factions, and that's something I think they need. Same with the tanks, because where as infantry you can get the guns from any faction, which makes sense. It's a multiplayer game.
yeah, just
Uh,
go for it.
planes and tanks doesn't happen. So if you had, okay, the British have the Blenheim bomber and the Germans have the Junker Ju-88. If they gave them the same spec tree and the same options to choose, fine, it's balanced. That's all you need to do to balance. They just need to be equal planes on both sides. But
Okay.
the Blenheim gets two sets of bombs, and it's a slower plane. It's meant to be a slow bomber. You even get a spec to increase its engine speed. That's how slow it is. Now, with the Ju-88, you're sent out with 4 250 kilo bombs as default. That's already enough to destroy any anti-aircraft gun with no issue. If you dump those bombs on him, he's gone. And they're very good on infantry. It has a spec where it helps you once you've been diving really low to pitch up really fast. So you can go really low and dive with this huge bomber and, pick yourself back up, no problem. Which you don't really need to do because you can fly really high and just drop bombs everywhere. But you can unlock, one of the first unlocks is enough bombs to carpet bomb. So you get 30 to 50 kilo bombs.
The one you were using
Which-
last time? Or
The one I was using, which you can, you hold your mouse down or your fire button down, and as long as you hold it, you keep dropping bombs until you're out of 32 bombs. So you can, if you want to double or triple carpet bomb, you just hold and release, move, hold and release, move, hold and release. You can do it, you can spread it out. So that's already 32 bombs to carpet bomb, and infantry will die under a carpet bomb. There's no way. And it will destroy buildings and it will open craters, anything. You have your 4 250 kilo bombs, so you don't even need to resupply, and you can unlock 2 1-ton bombs, which you can carry with those. So you have 3 sets of bombs. 1-ton bombs can almost destroy tanks. And
But they're not good for infantry, and then I think
they're not good for infantry. They're just, huge. But what you'd usually do if you're flying a bomber, you have an idea what the map is, because if you're flying, you can see everything below you. Now, infantry on maps like Twisted Steel, bit hard to see because they're
They
all under
blend.
the trees
Mhm.
and they're in houses and whatever. But I found that if you fly high enough coming into a target and align the bomb, like the belly of the plane is facing your target. So you're flying really high and release that bomb, it will take a long time to drop. But by the time that drops, I'll dive in and hit the target in front of that. So effectively, I'm hitting behind the target and on and ahead of the target at the same time without having to go to reload. And I think that's unfair. I mean, it's fun because you get a lot of
you're
kills.
getting the most out of it.
Because you're getting the kills, but people absolutely hate it. The map we were on, the third map, on the French Grand Operations with a tug of war
Yeah.
part initially. I was in the bomber, and the other plane we had as Germans was also a bomber. And if you see the stats for that, the enemy team, I think I might have a screenshot to quote, but I believe I had. Okay, I have the screenshot right here, actually. The enemy team's top kills, there was a guy with 74 kills. The one after that had 22 kills. Would you believe that? So they weren't really killing anything.
Yeah.
On our team, we had a guy who did 145, who wasn't in a plane. I did 118, and the other bomber did 114. So I think it's unfair. They had planes as well, mind you. They just had what I'd consider inferior planes compared to the Junkers bomber. Same goes for fighters. The Bf 109 on the German side, I think, is superior to the Spitfire. So I think that's some. If you're German and you're in a plane, it's better in Battlefield 5, where I think they should be a bit more balanced.
And it's not even a case of.
It's not because it's factual. It's because the game has to be balanced.
Yes, no, it
Yeah,
does.
yeah,
And you can't
Say,
say that maybe one side's tanks are better than the other, but to compensate
They have
that.
to be equal.
Yeah.
They have to be equal. I mean, if you want the German tanks to be more offensive, make the British tanks at least a bit more defensive to
Yes.
balance it out. You can't just say if you're in a German Tiger tank, well, good luck fighting that, because it's a huge tank. It can stay further back. It can destroy targets completely
At a distance,
I
regardless.
believe
At a
it was
distance,
actually
yeah.
one of the best tanks in World War II, right? Not even the Americans
Yes, it was.
had a tank that could match
the
that.
Tiger tank was,
I mean, technology-wise, the Germans were more advanced throughout World War II.
They
or-
were.
or
They
World
were.
War
There's
II.
no doubt about that. Yes, there is no doubt
So
about that.
you would understand them having, to a point,
That their tanks
better weapons.
would be better.
Yeah.
And now in
But
this
you
case,
wouldn't do that in terms of balancing.
No,
which is,
exactly.
no.
Exactly.
because
Exactly.
you can be as factual as you want, but that sort of ruins the experience for people who want to,
Exactly.
play
Co-
a competitive sort of game.
Because at the end of the day, it's a game, right? People need to play.
Of
You
course.
have to sacrifice facts to a point to balance out the game. So
I mean,
that
this
could
depends
take
on
us to-
also the type of game you're playing, because somehow I'm getting, if anyone has played, for example, Company of Heroes.
I've
Company
played
of Heroes, the
Yeah.
Germans, for example, in that game, their tanks were good because, as per faction, their tanks were good. And the Allies, their tanks did a good job, but you could tell the difference between a Tiger tank and
Yes.
the Allies tanks. But that was because it's an RTS. You're meant to play differently. Or it is meant to be played differently. But in the case of Battlefield, as you're saying, it needs to be balanced. You can't just... You end up getting like, oh shit, I'm playing as these guys now. I'm not going to even bother playing a plane because it sucks. I'm not going to do a good job. You're going to be discouraged from even trying to be a bomber, for example. And then, for example, in your case, you could get your bomber plane that you had and just do a good job. especially if you get your friends with you.
If you have friends, it's so much easier.
It's
Oh yes, like, can you stay sitting here? Okay, I'll just stay sipping coffee and watching
Yes, and
anime.
just occasionally press a button.
I-
If you see a plane behind us, press a button. Just
okay.
that's just what it does.
No, but because since you said it was easier for you, now I see
It was because no plane approached me
what
at all.
I contributed.
They tried hitting us a few times, but I've had
Yeah.
worse situations when I was solo. So
Yeah, and like now during this recording, I could see my contribution as I was your
yeah,
background.
exactly. You didn't get any kills, but you saved me from getting the plane destroyed.
But not even at a point level,
No.
because I do get the assist points when you manage
You
to
get
do a
assist points,
successful
yes.
bomb.
Yes.
But like from me hitting, I don't get that much, and
No.
the
You have
hitting
to
is
actually
more
destroy
important.
something.
Yeah, but the hitting is more important than the actual destruction of the plane.
Yes, in that position, yes. And people get carried away by I need to get all the kills, but it's mostly not the case in Battlefield, because it's play the objective every time. Play the objective. I see so
But-
many people running with grenades when the answer to your situation right now is a smoke grenade.
And that is something I finally saw yesterday during operations. And I had the smoke grenades being unlocked recently, and another class I got the incendiary grenade, so I could try that too. And in one of the maps, I'm terrible with names, but it was a city, and there are a lot of trains on top of the bridge.
Rotterdam.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Dutch
Uh,
map, yes.
It was fun actually throwing in the incendiary grenades inside the trains, and you'd have like
Yes.
2-3 of your opposing team running away like shit, and then your squad there is just ready to gun them down.
Hmm.
I
mean-
again, tactics.
If as a medic you're not doing this, the as a medic you get your smoke rifle grenade. You know,
Ooh,
that's
I
the,
didn't
that's the
realize
first
about the smoke
yes.
rifle.
the first rifle grenade you have
It's
as
a smoke
medic
rifle.
is a
Yeah.
smoke rifle. You shoot. So what you do
Smoke
is
grenade.
if you have a downed teammate,
rifle grenade.
No,
if
no,
you have a
smoke.
downed
Oops.
teammate, you aim the smoke in front of him or on him,
Exactly, and it gives you time to
and you
heal.
revive him. So
Oopsies.
smoke grenades,
No, I made that
grenades,
same
smoke
mistake.
grenades, very strong.
But then I noticed I was hitting people and not getting any damage. And then I see a puff of smoke. It's like 1+1. It's a smoke. And then I read just below it when you go to customize the smoke rifle grenade. Oh, okay.
I do not do the English.
Because
I
then
only do the
there's even
German,
if you
yeah.
unlock at a point you can unlock the actual grenade on the assault though.
Yes.
It has a grenade launcher, the assault class,
Yes.
which is very similar, obviously, but obviously not smoke.
No. He gets the explosive.
I have something to mention, which is
Yeah,
really
go ahead.
strange, actually.
Which is?
You know, planes, still on planes, and a bomber can, it takes time to destroy a bomber. Even as a fighter, if you have explosive rounds, and I've been there, it takes time to down a bomber because they're heavily armored. But
Yeah, that was their job to go
if
in
you
and hopefully
fly
survive.
low enough, and there's a guy with a Panzerfaust, he can down you in one hit. As soon as that Panzerfaust hits you, the plane explodes.
Oh god, that means
And it happened to me a few times.
Oh.
So- You see,
in fact,
wait, but off, yes.
no. I'm going to do a quick search to see if anyone has attempted the. Do you remember the Rendezvous videos where a guy jumps out of a plane and shoots a rocket into the plane
And then
behind him?
gets back into the
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and then gets back into the plane, flies off,
gets back
continues
into
flying
the
off.
plane.
Okay, no, I can't find anything Battlefield 5. Okay.
Not yet.
No one has dared. But-
Let me mention a few details.
BF1
that
managed,
maybe,
apparently.
Maybe some people did not realize, or maybe some people don't know a lot about. There are a lot of little details in Battlefield 5, which make it an interesting game, and I've highlighted a few that I can
Okay.
think of.
Shoot.
One of the more obvious ones, we don't have any more spotting, unless you're
Yeah,
a
that
recon
was
and you got your spotting.
really
That's very
weird
good,
for me.
in my opinion. It's very good, and I'll tell you why. I don't know how extensive your Battlefield 1 gameplay was.
BF1
Little-
not that much.
Not that much. Okay. As a sniper in Battlefield 1, the easiest thing to do, even if there's smoke, was just to spam Q and you get the little triangle on your head.
That was
And then
something
we
that I
used
used to do
The
since
spotting.
BF2.
Yeah.
There you go. And then we used to play a game called Shoot the Doritos. So what you would do is if you literally aim your scope right at the bottom edge of that triangle and shoot, you get a headshot.
Yeah.
Which was
Yeah.
silly because no amount of smoke would prevent you from doing that. So that's a good change. You can spot vehicles. It's a different marker. Do you know how if you press Q
You just
on
press Q on a
PC
vehicle,
now, it's-
you hear
it's
the guy
an
going,
orange
"Get
marker."
Panzer!"
Yes.
Yeah.
But you get an orange marker if you do it in an open space, and you get a red marker if you do it on a vehicle, on a tank. You don't do it on aircraft. So there's that. Unless there's suppressive spotting as a support, and then there's the recon spotting with a spotting scope, or if you hit them, they are spotted for a few. Oh, and there's a spotting flare as well.
Is the suppressive
Which?
spotting the one where there are times where an infantry is marked by a red diamond, not just the icon on top? Because there
Yes.
are times like the way an enemy unit is marked is different in your interface.
Yes.
Okay. Because the suppressive one is more useful than the one of the recon sometimes.
The recon one can be a bit spotting flare. You can shoot down, by the way, if you didn't know.
What?
If there's an enemy spotting flare in the
You
air,
can shoot it down.
you can
Oh,
shoot
okay.
it down.
Ah, okay.
So you can destroy it while it's in the air. So
I just got it
These
recently.
You can
little
even
details.
shoot grenades in the air.
I didn't
You can shoot
try it
grenades
out
in
yet.
the air as well.
You can throw a
Many
grenade, for example,
people have been-
doing it.
you can capitalize on it because
Yeah.
you can either get the impact grenade, or if you're good enough to shoot your own grenade while it's close to your target, that's an impact grenade as well. So you can use
Yeah.
it in two ways. You can wait for it to explode, or you can shoot it.
In fact, I saw this clip in Rotterdam, in the Rotterdam map, where the guy he's seeing two guys on the top of the bridge, and he's at the bottom, so he just lobbies the grenade and shoots it in
Yes,
midair
shoots
and
it.
gets two
Yeah.
kills. That's
It's very effective on top of if somebody's behind sandbags, you just throw the
Yeah,
grenade up
on top of
as
his
soon as
head
it's
and shoot
above,
it.
and it just
Yeah.
kills him.
Yeah.
So it's not easy
Talk
to
about
do.
skill.
By the way,
It's not. It's not
easy to
Not
do.
at all.
And if you want to play it harder, try it with a pistol. But it's
That's
it's
just
not
showing
easy,
off.
But people have done it. You can find clips for it.
Yeah.
Stoder does it, for instance. You can see him do it. What else? Okay, scopes very useful that you get iron sights on every weapon if you want, and I love that because some guns are just nice with iron sights. They just feel right with iron sights, so that's nice. The way healing and resupplying is now, very good. I like it. You still get the crates, but you just don't run over the crate. You have to
No,
pick
it's
it up
just
and,
there
and
that
there's a
everyone can
cooldown,
take.
so that's
and
good. Pouches are good as well.
I love
Plain
the throwing
resupplying
the
is
pouch
good.
effect.
Yes, throwing the pouch is nice. Plain resupplying is nice, although now they're saying they're moving the points further away, so you get less bombing runs.
You're just flying over the area,
You're
right?
just flying over, but they're just extending that further, so you have to fly more. So you have to fly further now before you come back, instead of having all those.
Maybe bombing runs
which-
were happening too quick in between.
Yes, which is something I don't mind, even as
As a plane player
a
yourself.
frequent plane player, a pilot. I don't find that annoying, to be fair. I think it's fair. But resupplying with tanks can be a bit annoying because you have to, in some maps, cross all the way back to get to a resupply point, or you have to capture a point which actually has a resupply point and build one, which you can the same way you build a sandbag or a trench. You can
The
build a resupply
fortifications.
point. Yes, you can build a resupply point and a healing station as well. So
Which we didn't mention much during the recording, the fortifications stuff. Because, for example, in Aerodrome, the hangar map, that has a massive contribution, for example, when you're stuck
It
defending
does.
at the hangar point.
It does.
Yeah.
But I
Even
don't
in
think it's
Rotterdam.
utilized so nicely in every map.
I think they need to open it a bit more, in my opinion. It's too preset, I think. So people will get used to that very easily. In Rotterdam, as soon as you get the second stage, when you're on day 2, you're going to build fortifications under a bridge. So all you need to do is bring a tank in and blow it up.
And then for
it's
nothing you do
easy to
that initial
destroy.
effort.
Yeah, it's
You might
very
as well
easy
have
to
just rushed
destroy.
into the objective.
Exactly. Yeah.
So they need to give a bit more flexibility, and I think they will. It's the first time we're seeing this, so it will take time for oh, maybe this is not working the way we wanted it to work. So let's fix it a bit. So far, I think it's good. The way you can build even guns, heavy MGs with armor in front of them. You can dig trenches at least in Narvik and the snow. You can dig a trench before you build sandbags, and I think even in France actually. So there is a good element to fortification. It just needs to be expanded. I think
Yeah,
would be the
expanded or
correct word.
polished more.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's their
there,
first
but
effort
yes.
in that. People said, "Oh, it's going to be Fortnite." It has nothing.
Thank God it has
to do with
nothing
it.
to do with
It has
Fortnite.
nothing to do with it. Nothing
Thank
to do with it.
Christ
Completely
for
different. Completely different method of doing stuff. And DICE are really good at implementing stuff that we have never seen before. How many games do you know which have an operations mode?
No,
I can't mention.
I can't.
As
Neither
soon
can
as
I.
they came out with Operations in Battlefield 1, wow,
Yeah.
this is nice. The only thing you could think of when Battlefield 5 was coming out is they can't possibly make Operations better, so they'll just give us Operations again. But what they said was, yes, we can step it up. We're going to give you Grand Operations, which is even better than Operations. And it is.
Yeah.
And this
Wait.
takes me to a point where Will has absolutely loved. He absolutely
yes.
enjoys, and we have to mention it. And it's the first time I experienced it as well when he was with me. We got a draw on Rotterdam. So day 1, day 2, day 3 ended in a draw, and we got day 4, which is
Which never
the
happened for
actual-
us before that.
never happened for us before, and it's the Battle Royale mode. And this is not the one coming in March in Operation Firestorm. That's a different Battle Royale. That's the one you've seen with a Ring of Fire coming in the trailers. That's a different Battle Royale.
Yep.
Day 4 in Rotterdam is essentially the day 3 map, so with the cathedral, and you need to fight it out there, team against team. No respawns. You get revised, but no respawns. Limited ammo, limited resources altogether, and it's an absolute, blast to play. It's intense.
Yeah, you feel the pressure.
you know.
You know that the stakes are high because once you die, you're out,
Dead,
and at least you still have a chance to be rezzed by a medic. But after that, forget it, and you just watch what's happening. It uses the same map limitation, the border, like when you go out and saying you're exiting the combat area. And you see the ring shrink like in other Battle Royale games, but in this case, you're being constrained as if that is your
you're always
role
being
in the
constrained
army.
to the open.
Yeah,
This is not like PUBG. You maybe there's a house where the circle is. This is open. You have debris to hide behind, maybe, unless the enemy team decides that's not
break the
gonna work
house,
and they
like-
destroy it. So, I think it's the most fun I've had in a battle royale situation, and I think they did really well in the battle royale.
No, I agree. It
implementation.
forces you into the situation. You're like, shit, what am I going to do? You hide with some other squads that you're in, or you just found yourself confident with some group of people. Maybe I'll stay here because there are some medics. They can help res. Like, I never saw the role of a med.
Usually the mindset is, if I'm playing Conquest, whatever, if I lift my head up, maybe I'll get shot, I'll die, I'll respawn. in that situation, if I lift my head up, my team might lose because they're one player less.
Yes.
And that's it.
But you
there's
need
so much
to know.
pressure on that.
But somehow you still need to actually
Yes.
pop your head out because you need to know like
You look
who's there
around
still.
and it's
We were
it's so
allied
intense.
team on that map, and I still remember I was on the right side of the cathedral, like looking at where our enemies were, and I'm like, is there anyone in this corner? You know how there would be in between the planks of wood created as borders.
Yes.
And there was that one particular one, we're in the middle of the cathedral. Like, let me see if after this plank of wood, if there's one right around the corner, like the side pillars of the cathedral. I just check a quick round, I just take a quick glance, and I see like these 3 Germans also hiding in the corner. Like, no, 9.
Nice. Granada.
It's
Like,
so intense.
they're also
I couldn't
in that
believe
pressure.
how intense it was.
And you're like, shit,
couldn't
no,
believe.
there are other people scared like me, and they're ready to press the left click trigger. Like, no, shit. And all you hear non-stop is a volley of bullets flying from one end to the other. It's just not a dull moment.
Yeah,
There was no dull
no,
moment.
No.
I can't imagine myself always playing that
No,
scenario because it's so
oof.
tiring.
That's a good time to pull the heart rate out on stream, which I don't use
It's
anymore.
true.
I think we have a mode for that.
It's-
Other little things. Because we can get stuck on the battle royale, and not even move from that because it was so amazing. But here's some other little things you may have not noticed. Now there are releases on and information of where tank weak spots are, which are a bit strange compared to real life. So I don't know if they're fixing that.
Yeah, because
I don't know about it, but it's weird.
yeah, you
where
told
the
me
weak
the last playthrough.
Yeah.
Like, I aim at the turret.
You aim at the
Always.
turret in yes, because and the turret in a tank in real life is usually where the heaviest armor is, and the front of it. So it's a bit strange how that's working. I guess they'll balance that out. But if you are in a tank and shoot another tank, the impact hole that is caused by that shell will actually glow on the tank. So you can see a hole which is glowing like as if it's molten metal.
And
Okay.
like, there's heat on that spot.
So there's heat, and you've penetrated that. And then you can, if you're at a distance, you can say, okay, so if I aimed in whatever direction and at this height, I hit, the track. Maybe I have to go a bit higher and I'll get the turret. It helps in that situation. That's about the tanks. There's not a lot more about the tanks. Vehicles get customization next week, actually. So you get skins.
There's
Essentially,
already something, no, though. Or there were no
should be
skins at all.
released Not for vehicles, no.
Oh, okay.
Not for vehicles, which was strange how they told us we can customize whatever, but yeah, that's coming in.
I still wanted
should
my
be coming in
prosthetic
next
arm.
week. You don't get your prosthetic arm, you get face paint. To all the people who complained that you could customize too much, you really can't. You get clothes, which are factual. You get to choose between presets of, I think, 12 people for allies and 8 for Axis. There are women, but women
There are
exist in
men and
World War
women
II
for
as
the
well.
German
So-
team, and there's also
Was there-
the mixed
mixed races
race.
for the allies
Yeah,
as
like
well.
races, yeah. If you do the story, you also get one of the stories is you're a black Frenchman. I don't believe actually French, more like one of the
Yes, one of the colonies, yes.
colonies of France. Sorry.
Of colonies of
Um,
France, yes.
Yeah. But yeah, and you get that element like they used to. So in the story of, again, I forget the names. He at first they just put them to work filling up sandbags, but then they actually end up in a very, very, very heated fight in the forests somewhere in Europe.
World War II was multicultural. We
Yeah.
can't say, everyone. It's why it's a world war. So saying these people were not in the war is
Yep.
really
Is
not
bullshit.
true.
Yeah.
Like, they were there. It is not the World War II that you remember seeing
It's not.
in media.
Yeah, it's
Like-
not what you see on Saving Private Ryan. Only.
Exactly.
Although it's
Or
an
Double
amazing
Down
film and I
or-
love it, it's not.
World War II is so much more. There's so many things happening at the same time with so many people, so many nations, and saying you shouldn't have that customization, which is really basic customization.
Yeah, in the end, it doesn't really
It's
affect.
just
Yeah,
your clothes and what preset player you are.
Like,
I mean,
your player collision box
That's it.
is the same. Your guns are the
Yes.
same.
yes, it's
The only
it's just
difference you're going to hear is
the voice.
The voice. That's all. Like, when
Yeah.
they die, I did notice this
Yes, when
yesterday.
you
Like,
get
the
the-
female
yes.
voices dying is actually
Uh-huh.
more prominent.
Yes.
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 Now
You
either
can hear the
because
screaming. If somebody dies, you can hear the screaming.
oh yes,
Mm-hmm.
and
And you
hear
can
them
hear
calling when they
depending on
need a
gender.
medic.
Yeah. You can hear it.
I need resuscitator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sanitäter.
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 Well,
Sanitäter, which is of course medic in
yes,
German.
I mean obviously, no offense to any of our German friends, it's just fun. But,
We love yelling Sanitäter now
yeah,
because of
yes.
Battlefield 5. It
Exactly.
just happens.
it's the same addiction with Wolfenstein, Enemy Territory.
Yeah.
The free multiplayer when there was Wunderbar, and
Wunderbar.
everyone after that was always saying like, "Oh,
Everyone saying
Wunderbar."
I
They don't
remember
really
in
say Wunderbar in
Call of Duty
German.
2, when you throw a grenade, Germans, Granada Pashla!
Right.
I'm
Yes,
sure that's not
of-
what they
of
say,
course.
but they say Granada something.
Yes.
Right.
And speaking of voices, actually,
Uh-huh.
and this is something which happens if, as a sniper, you get a kill streak. You manage to get a kill streak. Your character will count for you. He will say numbers. He will be counting the numbers.
Eins, Weins, Dreins.
He will if you get a kill streak.
Yes.
Wow, it's like
Um,
the World War II Legolas.
Yes.
1, 2.
Three, yeah.
There are so many of these little details, and I have more. I have more. Like, let's see. Have you realized when throwing a grenade, you can overthrow or underthrow, depending
Yes.
on where you're throwing it? So if you're throwing it far away or above you, the
Mhm.
hand comes from behind your head.
Yes.
But if you're throwing it below you, it comes from
underneath
your hips, just by your hips.
Yep.
So if you're walking through water, the soldiers are actually sort of trying to hop through the water to not get wet. You try that in the French in Twisted Steel. Cross through the water by the point on the left side when you're attacking, or the right side when you're defending, where the swamp is, and you'll see them do different movements.
Okay.
It's a
Oh,
different
like
kind
the
of
way
water
to
because
not
there's
take their
water.
guns with.
What I
They're just
appreciated
jumping through.
when you're mentioning this, for example, in this battlefield, in this game, I believe it wasn't in Battlefield 1, you can actually prone facing
different
upwards.
directions.
Like you have your
And
legs
you
in
can
front
actually
of you,
sit
you can
there.
see it.
People would
Yes.
think that you're dead. It gives you that split second where you can
Yes.
actually kill them before they notice that you're not dead. Because
You can
your
also
mind,
mount a bipod like that.
you can also. Oh yes.
Mount a bipod.
And it's it's your mind thinks, okay, a body laying upside out, face up, usually in a
Yes,
game
it's
means
a dead
dead.
guy.
Till I got used to that, and it's
Yes.
cool. It's
You can
small
prone
details.
sideways. You can prone backwards. You can prone forwards.
and you actually
Yeah.
see your feet as well when you're proning.
Yes, you actually
Face
see. You could most of the time see your feet and legs in Battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you actually can see it while proning, is just them saying, "Listen, we can do this as well now,"
Yeah.
and that's exclusive.
Yeah,
to,
it's a nice touch. Like,
to
whoa, I'm
Battlefield.
actually in this position. Like back first, my legs in front. I'm with a sniper holding out, and this isn't actually the comfortable position. So you actually sort of feel you have to readjust yourself, which is a like small detail you have to do as you're pro.
Though you did also mention that you can also prone face up with the bipod out, but it doesn't affect the handling of the gun. It's the same as if you had the bipod out on
Which
a
is
on
interesting
a
because you
exactly the
feel
on a
you're in
column
the
of-
bad
of
position
sandbags.
then. Because as I said now, you feel you're in that bad position. Like, this isn't how I use a bipod.
yeah, but it still works
No. Okay.
perfectly.
I shall bipod on my stomach.
Yeah.
When you're using the MG34 and the MG42, you have to prone to use it or mount it somewhere. You can't hip fire with. You can try. It just fires all over the place.
Yeah, it's
its
just spray
hip
and pray.
fire is
Rain
actually
of bullets.
0.
Yeah.
As a stat, it's 0. There's no way. So you can prone forwards or backwards, or mount it on a window ledge, and then you can shoot. So proning is very useful if you support with these heavy MGs.
Mhm.
Mentioning that, something interesting about the MG42. The MG42 in real life has a quick way to change the barrel on the gun,
How so?
which they did, because the barrels got hot and they warped. So you'd need to change a barrel. So it's the same way you change a cartridge, a box of bullets because it's
Yeah.
empty.
Yeah.
You can change a barrel because it's warped. Because the MG42 had such a fast rate of fire, it would get
Fire rate,
hot
yeah.
really quickly, and it was easy for someone to get sort of lost in the fact they have to deliver suppressive fire, and then the barrel gets hot. This happens in the game as well.
All right.
And-
What?
Yes, and this is a little Easter egg actually. If people are interested in weaponry, specifically guns, they would know about a guy on YouTube called Forgotten Weapons. A guy going by the name Ian McCollum, who was actually in Malta this summer, and he did an episode on Fort Runella's guns and some guns which the gun associations here had lent him as well.
That's
to
amazing.
look at. Yes, they call him Gun Jesus, by the way, because he
Gun
has
Jesus.
long hair. He has long hair. They call him
Yeah,
Gun Jesus.
I'm seeing him on Facebook.
It's like the gamer's nexus
It's
of
Gun
guns.
Jesus. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. Exactly. He's
Holy
asking-
shit.
Nah, well, Ian.
he
is
is
Gun
Gun
Jesus.
Jesus with a beard.
And in 2014, he fired an MG34 and an MG42. So they actually let him fire these guns. He's very knowledgeable. I suggest you give him a look. He showcased the removal of the barrel. So what he did was there's a latch on the side. He opens the latch. The barrel slides to the side. And it's really hot, so you don't pull it out, with your bare hands.
Yeah.
So what he did was he used an empty shell of one of the rounds and put it into the slot and pulled the barrel out. In the game, that's the actual way they pulled the barrel out as credit to him. So you actually see the side latch opening, the barrel popping out, and an empty case just, getting into the hole and pulling it out. Apparently he had something to do with gun design as well. So I think that's sort of their way of saying he was here.
It's a tribute to him, yeah.
That
Like he
did
actually-
something about-
He commented on their animations, for example.
yeah, this guy is actually so good, and I saw this in Battlefield 1. When the first trailer was released, he could mention every single gun he was seeing in the trailer, described how possible it would be for the gun to be in that scenario, and how many prototypes of it there were, and why it wouldn't be there. That's how in
Holy
detail this guy
crap.
goes. He's great. I would suggest.
No,
and
in fact,
sort of
I'm on
a
his channel, like seeing what he has. And
Yeah, even me.
I do agree that
Yes.
he's Jesus.
He knows his stuff.
He has a video about the 1911, which is my favorite gun of all time.
Wow.
There's
Okay.
most of your
Nice to
favorite
know.
guns are going to be there.
Yeah.
So he's I would suggest anyone listening to this interested in weapons and how they work. He actually dismantles the whole weapon, reassembles it, explains the individual parts, and fires it if he can fire it. So, I mean,
And he's close to 1 million subscribers, so come on, let's get
it's
there.
impressive. It's impressive.
Cool.
It's impressive.
Forgotten weapons.
Forgotten.
Speaking of other Easter eggs,
Hmm.
what about the whale in Narvik?
The whale?
Actually, I haven't seen, but they've always had
Really?
a whale
I
before.
haven't seen
Yes.
the whale.
If you go to the day 1 on the Narvik map, or day 2 actually, if you look into the sea, there's a whale.
No,
And
Yeah.
they give this so much importance. It really, and it's actually visible in one of the trailers. There's an underwater shot with a whale. It really does nothing, but in patch notes they feed it. So in the patch notes they like to remind us that they're feeding the whale in Narvik.
cool.
But in
Nice
fact,
doing these little things, like we're feeding the whale. It's okay. Don't worry about it. It's gonna be there, after the patch. It's not going anywhere.
You can actually go to the end of the map and swim with it. Apparently, I'm watching a video
If
on
you
YouTube.
jump down, you could possibly see
Yeah.
it. Yes, but it's
no, in fact, there are
it's,
videos.
It's the whale over there. So
Cool.
you know,
Magnificent
Easter egg.
creature. What the hell? Yeah, that's true. I haven't spotted the whale.
No, I
So-
I had no idea about the whale.
you can see.
I
it
knew
really
about the
clearly from
octopus in-
overview as well.
in Destiny.
If you're in the
there was-
overview, you can see it.
Now I
It's
have
really
to.
visible.
Yeah, I have to keep an eye out for this one. I want to see the whale. We should swim with the whale together. Actually, we should just try
Just
and rush
put
it
that
out.
on your
Good
stream
experience. That's some sort of bonding experience.
Exactly.
with the whale.
Let's swim with the whale.
Over here, you can watch us trying
David Attenborough.
get familiar
Oh,
with the
yes.
whale, trying to
Hi,
show us
whale.
that we mean no harm. We just want
Hi,
to
whale.
swim with you. Hi, whale.
Bye.
Don't kill me, whale. It would even
How did
better.
you feel the map
Uh-huh.
balancing was as a player who's not been into recent Battlefields much?
So
How was the map balancing for you?
I mean, I didn't play much BF1, so my opinion might be different from
Mhm.
some
How
others.
does this feel? How does this feel?
The grand operations, the defense side feels like you have to do more work than offense sometimes. But
Okay.
though like offense, I feel I had freedom of movement, whereas defense you don't really have that.
Because you're stuck to
It
your
could be
points,
also the
maybe.
mentality of the players, where since they are defending, they try to stick in one place as much as possible, and they might be like, okay, so this is an open map, so I'm going to be recon. And a lot of players all of a sudden decide that they want to play recon because they feel they have a better chance of killing someone and getting points like that. So on my own, I feel I can't do much, but that was one of our initial like points where we said you need to be like being with a good team or being with friends
Yes.
is going to have might actually be able to carry the team. Not entirely, but have a massive shift.
Yes. Yes.
Uh,
Something they're going to add soon might help with that as defense.
Okay.
Because as a medic, you have to run out to revive people. That's
Yes.
you're putting your neck on the line to revive the people. This is not something that's going to be released soon, but they're working about it. They're working with I don't know if it will apply to medics. I hope so, but it definitely applies to teammates. They're investigating the feasibility of being able to drag down teammates.
That would be good.
So if
Like,
they're out in the open, you're behind cover. You just pull
I
them.
can res you,
and then
drag
revive.
you. Maybe
I'll
it
drag you
stops
and
the
revive
time
you,
of
yeah.
when you die.
Yeah,
knows? Or maybe
will
it slows
pause
it
that,
down.
Or maybe
Uh,
the morphine shots comes in before you do the drag, and then you drag and carry on with the revive. Sort of
That
the
could be
animation.
another feasible option, and I agree because there are times you want to pull someone, and
And you just can't. You'll die
Yeah.
if you go out.
I feel
think
like
they're-
not
yeah.
being able to res someone has a heavier effect when you're defense.
Yes, because if you're attacking, you could just keep coming.
and there are times where it's more feasible to just die quickly, and squad spawning is just gonna get you
Yes.
back into the action immediately.
Yes, unless you get squad wiped.
Exactly. And yesterday I had a really weird moment where I don't know if the game was helping this guy or not, but I had this one guy in my squad. He did nothing on purpose. He stayed this was one
At
of
the
the
back.
snow maps.
I experienced that this week as well.
He would just stayed prone in this house, in the rubble.
Mhm.
But he was visible, like the camera shows he is visible.
Okay,
And
we could just keep
the
spawning.
German soldiers just kept walking past him, like the guys
That
against
happens
us.
because what you got recently is because of the staggered release, depending on who went premiere or deluxe and whatever.
Uh-huh.
The initial part, so from November 9th, it was more difficult because who was mostly playing the game from November 9th? People who are into Battlefield. So it was a lot of experienced people who were
So
there
he
initially.
knows some tricks.
So he
beforehand.
knows. But then when Deluxe released, stuff started dumbing down a bit. When the full game was completely released, then we got people who, AFK'd, stayed at the back, didn't know what they were doing. So
Yeah,
that
it happened.
contrasts to, there
I had one
there is
squad
more
member
chance
who just
of you.
did nothing. But this guy's
Yes, it happens. There's more chance of you proning now and not getting attacked than there was 3 weeks ago. Because the players playing 3 weeks ago would know what you're trying to do, but not necessarily now. Because there are more new people.
Yeah.
And now it's more effective what you're trying to do. And in fact, this guy is being guided in this house actually helped us in squad spawning.
He's spawning on him. Yeah.
Yes, and these guys are like, how the fuck are these guys actually still coming in?
You could do spawn beacons as well.
That is equipment, I'm guessing, because I haven't
Equipment
had it
for
myself.
for the
sniper.
sniper.
Oh, okay.
Sniper can
So
spawn beacon.
Get the
it
small
replaces the spotting, or
You can spawn on it.
no?
Spawn.
But what does it replace?
Nothing.
It
Nothing?
replaces
The
the
flare gun.
The flare, yeah.
Okay.
So flare or
The spot, like,
the spawn beacon.
The spawn
Yes.
beacon.
So you leave it somewhere safe and you keep spawning on it.
yeah.
And how long does that work?
I'm not exactly sure how long it takes, but what I usually like to do is replace it as soon as I respawn.
Okay.
So I'll drop another one as soon as I respawn.
Yeah.
You can shoot it and it takes one shot to destroy it. So if you leave it in an open space, it's gonna get destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite quickly.
But
That's what I do. As soon as I see a spawn beacon, I'll shoot it because
yeah, you
it's a
could see it,
spawn
and as recon, you feel you should. It's like you feel more responsible to do so.
yes,
as a sniper.
definitely.
But back to the balancing of maps again. I mean, defense still feels like that they have much more work than offense. Now to the randomness, the random nature of who you're playing with. Now either it's because there is lack of what could be helping you in defense. It's just you, sandbags, and if you have planes, maybe that. And regarding planes, now either I could be potato with how the game looks, but
My life
I
is
don't
potato.
think exactly. My life is potato. The interface for you getting a gun, not a gun, a plane, sorry, or any sort of vehicle is not obvious.
Yes, that is
And
so annoying.
especially
to avoid what happened in
like
BF3 and 4, which was lots of
people jumping on the vehicle
bombing
spawn
and stuff.
points. Yeah.
And yes,
It was the same as BF2. Like there were many
I think
videos
they
about
didn't
that.
do it. They need to fix it because they didn't. This was the way it was in Battlefield 1, and it's not the way to do it, in my opinion. But
In fact, I think if I type in, there were some. Yep. Like you can find videos for Battlefield 2 days related to Monty Python and spawning. Because in Monty Python there are clips where I forgot which sketch it was about, but you hear these guys going like mine, and basically they just clipped these voices onto Battlefield 2 at the squad points. Like you'd be on the aircraft carrier waiting for the helicopter or the plane, and you just hear going mine. They have, and it was literally that situation. 10 people over there, like, no, I want to ride this. But I get it. But I get that.
They should be able to fix it.
But even like show you that the interface is there, because we mentioned that the prologue was a good tutorial to the game.
Yes.
But
at least they should let me click on it when it's on 0, so I could choose which plane I want to spawn in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I can't choose which plane I want to spawn in.
No, that's
because I have to do it so fast. I'll just spawn in the last plane I was in. Because that's what it
exactly.
But it might not be the plane I want for that map.
Yeah.
No.
So the easiest way to do it is take the plane. Then whenever it gets killed, you just wait on the window and then change it when another one is available. Because there's more chance of people not being waiting for it after the spawning has all happened, after the initial spawn.
Yep.
It's strange.
The whole interface thing is also the whole case of the simplification and beauty of clean UI by Battlefield, which they've been doing since BF1.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, something else also, it didn't feel obvious to me. Now, I like to nitpick on UI a lot. Customization doesn't seem obvious until you move your mouse on those icons. Like, it doesn't tell you, like, this is your loadout. It's just the icons.
No.
So you think, okay, I know these are the guns and equipment that I have for my class that I'm picking. Assault, recon, whatever. But it's still not obvious that is an element inside the UI that you can interact with to change your loadout as whilst you're dead. And I
agree.
And I think these need to be more prominent, because you're going to get a lot of new players that might not understand what they can do whilst they're away from the map.
This is more something that won't affect me because I know
you're used to the
system
game.
because I'm used to it.
And
people coming
hearing
in will find it a bit
you,
overwhelming.
Yeah, and hearing you, the system favors those who have played BF1 rather than
because you need to find the tricks. You know, the tricks in the UI which happen in BF1, which are the same as BF5.
To me,
so if you know the UI tricks,
Yeah, the situation was like, I understand now when I try to teach my mother how to use Gmail on her mobile.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. Like, I can do
takes
this.
time to yes.
Yes. Mhm.
It's not a case of iconology.
No.
The icons show that they're guns. Fine. But what else can I do? So that was one of my biggest... I think that is my more annoying complaints about the game. It's not the game itself, because I'm very happy with it.
It's more the UI. Like, they should let you pick your specialization upgrades in a match. Or at
Yes.
least when you're waiting to start a match. I have to quit the match to upgrade my gun. Which then, if I'm squad leader and I'm alone, not in a team, and I'm squad leader, and I leave, and then I lose squad leader. What if
But I
wanna
don't
be
think you
squad-
can do that,
know?
for example, in the in-between, when you're moving to
No.
the next map,
No,
where you get
have to
the
quit.
points.
I believe you have to quit.
Bah. Like, they
Which
should
is-
let you
yeah.
do, like, when you're seeing your objective points, like, this is what you
Yeah,
can.
they should let me, I want to upgrade. I'm not liking how my gun is right now. Can I change it?
Exactly.
Mhm.
Instead of having to go out all the time.
I mean, in the end, this is just a public game. It's whether I do it now or outside doesn't affect. So
yeah, it won't, it's
give me
not
the option.
competitive. If it was competitive, like, you'd say, okay, you can only do it before you go in. There's no way you can fine. But this is just a game I'm playing
Yeah,
with
this
random
is-
people. They don't care what loadout I'm coming out with. They just want to kill me. So
yeah, I'm just another number. So
Yeah.
those are my main tidbits, because otherwise, because of that, actually, it didn't let me experience, like, I haven't experienced much driving the planes or driving the
yeah,
tanks.
because you don't know how to spawn in.
The only time I did drive a vehicle, like actually spawned in one,
Transport, maybe?
was not as transportation, like, because someone else had spawned with the vehicle. When I was squad leader and I had enough points to spawn
And you
the
spawned
trigger, the half
the
track.
To airdrop the half track, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was my first actual experience, and probably my only experience so far with actually
Okay,
having
with a
my good
vehicle,
chance
yeah.
with a vehicle. Because otherwise, I understand shit in terms of getting the vehicle myself. Like, I don't know what to look out for.
I think it's also a case of letting the people who know how to get it use it, because the people who know how to get it are usually a bit more familiar with the vehicle.
Yeah,
Because usually you get lots of pilots, and I'm not an amazing pilot by any stretch, but I can do better than the average person just going in and clicking on a plane. And you'd know, because you'd see that in a kill count, you'd see that in how they strategically attack somewhere. An example of this was last week. I was playing day 2 as the allies on the Narvik map, where you get planes about 2 minutes in as allies. You get the first plane, and then about 2 minutes later, you get the second plane. I chose a Spitfire, which usually wouldn't be chosen. It would be a bomber, which was chosen. A guy was constantly telling me in chat, crash your plane, we need a bomber. Now, I didn't bother with this because what I was doing was strafing and killing enemies anyway. The reality of it was he's later got into a bomber, and I was flying alongside him in my fighter, so I was pretty much protecting him. But at the end, I got more kills than he did in his bomber. So it's not necessarily we need a bomber. It's just how you can use that bomber. If you can't fly that bomber, regardless of how many bombers we have, we're not going to win anyway.
yeah.
So him complaining about that and not being able to use it still left us better off with me in a fighter. So I think that spawning thing does a bit of help with that.
It does, but then, like, one day or another, you have to try the vehicle. And the only time you're going to try
But
the
now
vehicle
you
is in
get
a
practice
multiplayer game.
range.
Ah,
Next Tuesday we get practice range like we had in
Okay.
Battlefield 4, which we didn't have in Battlefield 1. I don't know why.
No, yeah.
But we will
maybe
have
the
in
idea wasn't to
Battlefield.
try this too.
We'll have it Tuesday.
Because
So
this is the
that's
first time I'm actually hearing this sort of feature for any
Yeah,
Battlefield
it is
game,
there.
whatever.
Practice range is there. You can see it. It's just unlocked. When you go into the UI to choose multiplayer,
but in
the
terms
icon
of
in the middle at the
BF5.
bottom is in BF5, not in 1.
Yeah.
But in BF5 there is a practice range which says it opens December 4th. So
Because,
at least you can fly it there.
if you've played like since 1942 and BF2,
3 and
the
4
only
had
way
it.
the practice range, or
Yes.
so I could
You
actually
could
just
spawn any vehicle, any weapon you wanted.
okay. So it's just me being a game potato.
No, it was available. It was available.
Okay.
For some reason, they didn't do it in Battlefield 1. I mean,
So that's more the
it's
weird
just a
part.
sandbox.
Yeah.
Yeah, the weird part is, why did you remove it? Because it was a sandbox, pretty much.
Yeah. Because
Now they're bringing it
I still
back,
think
everyone's happy.
I still think a lot more like BF2 rather than the BF3 4, and I did play those games like 3 as soon as it
No,
came
but
out.
they were there.
And
They
4
were there.
4 I played it more because I was kind of forced to play it due to my master's course. Like now we're going to assess the difference and study in an analytical level BF4 and Counter-Strike. Okay. And actually had to write an assignment between this difference between the two. It was fun. No, BF2, I mean, that time you'd have to just create a server. That time you could create your own servers and you just play around in your sandbox world, those planes that you can spawn in. Or actually find spawns, actually. Different. So, yeah, the practice range sounds good to me.
Yes.
I need to
It'll be
try
very
this.
important. Yes.
Because I don't want to already have just going for the first time and
No.
be a bad...
No. You definitely don't want... No.
They had something similar to that in Call of Duty 1, World War 2, sorry, last year.
But
They had
for
a
the
firing
guns,
range.
yeah.
Yeah.
And instead of trying it out during
The match.
public games,
Multiplayer,
yeah,
yeah.
Try them out
You just go
like in
and-
your
yeah.
time. Which makes sense, because for me also it's like me playing Tekken. Okay, it's a fighting game. But you're not going
But
to
you
try
got
out...
practice mode.
Yeah, you're going to use the practice mode to understand what you can do with the guy. So you need that with any type of game.
Cool.
Yeah. I think
I
we can
think
actually slowly wrap up this. Because
It's
holy
going to be
shit.
definitely our longest podcast ever.
Yeah.
We're going on an hour and 45 minutes.
But not a dull moment.
Never, no, of course not. It was
Holy fuck.
one of the ones I had fun doing most, to be honest.
It's true.
So yeah, final notes. To be honest, thank you very much for
Buy Battlefield.
coming on.
Yes.
Yeah, buy Battlefield.
Buy
No, in
Battlefield,
fact,
yeah.
I'm thinking of buying the
Yes, David.
PC version.
Yes, get PC
Come
so you can
down.
play with us too.
Because
We'd be 2 squads instead in Iron Server.
See?
yeah.
And would actually win most of the times instead.
So yeah,
No, but seriously, thanks for your time. I didn't expect it was going to be this long, but you
My
went
pleasure.
into massive detail. Your
Yeah.
gun knowledge.
My pleasure.
Will told me you're knowledgeable, and that was an
I
understatement.
just said he was a Battlefield fan, but I didn't expect gun. Hello, welcome to World War II lessons.
Yes. Sanitäter, please.
Salutator.
Oh, I need Sanitäter. Oh.
We'll name the episode Salutator.
No, but,
Sanitäter, sorry, Sanitäter.
but
Sanitäter,
basically, in this case, you can plug yourself. Where can people find your shiz?
Yes, definitely.
You can come and find me on twitch.tv/NGen15. That's NGEN15. There are more links to my social media over there. So just the Twitch stuff is enough. It's if you look for me, you'll find me pretty much.
NGEN15.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And for
Okay.
us, this is going to be the first new episode that will be on Spoofy on Spotify.
Yes, Spotify.
Nice.
We are now
So
on
now-
Spotify.
in the car.
Yes.
Now? Yes, exactly. We're on
listen to
Spotify.
myself.
We were on iTunes, but people don't really use the iTunes stuff that much.
Yeah.
Our main audience still stuck to Facebook, to be honest.
So
And-
we've
Mhm.
listened, we've heard,
And actually,
we've
people
actioned.
asked us a lot during Comic Con.
Yeah, during Comic Con, that's where
There you go.
we
See, people
got
now.
most. Yeah, we got
No,
that.
that is
the
available. Next episode, we're still not certain yet. We have something in mind.
We will
but
most probably just
nothing-
do one episode for December.
Yeah, it's one more in December, and
we're
then
planning
it's
on having-
2019.
Another guest as well in the next episode.
Yep.
It will most probably be a bit different,
That and it
but
won't
we're
be
still
in
planning
2
it.
weeks. It depends.
2, maybe 3 weeks. It depends on how the holidays are gonna drop. I haven't had a look at it, to be honest.
Exactly. But you'll hear
we'll
from
see.
us on Facebook
Definitely.
and then. Anyway, again, thank you, Mr. Edward Engine.
My pleasure.
It was great having you. And now we can all have lunch because I'm getting
Yes.
hungry as fuck.
Same, yes.
I was covering up my stomach just
Like
so the
doing
mic
the
doesn't
map
pick up my
balancing
stomach
thing, my
going.
stomach. Yeah, my stomach is going.
Cheers. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening. As usual, Spotify,
Yeah.
SoundCloud, Facebook, we're there.
Everything. They'll find
Obviously, we'll tag Engine in the post so you can easily find him as well.
Yes.
Cheers and have a good one.
it. Bye.
Bye bye.